So it's brewing. You can hear it. On the line with us, Jim Mitchell. He's the Chief Scientific Officer and co-founder of PicoBrew. He started it with his brother. Hey, Jim.
Hello.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, good to be with you.
Now, you did something earlier called the Zymatic. Tell me about that.
Yeah, the Zymatic was the first product we made. Came about because my brother was home brewing, made a very nice beer, but couldn't duplicate it.
That's the problem, isn't it? It's such a chaotic recipe that it's different every time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he called me to see if we could make. It actually started out more like a brew cart, where we make the whole process automated, so that you can get duplicating beer. So
Reproducible quality.
I mean, yeah, because I tried it many years ago, and I have to admit I made a couple batches of beer, and the first one was amazing, which is the only reason I made 2 and 3, which were not as amazing.
Well, Russell, our IT guy, is an accomplished home brewer, but he has spent literally tens of thousands of dollars to get just the right equipment and very reliable thermometers. I guess temperature is really critical in all of this. This, poor Russell, this simplifies the whole process. So when you made the Zymatic, what's the difference now in the PicoBrew? Tell me about that.
So Zymatic is a pro unit, infinitely flexible, can make everything. The Pico unit is a kit-based one. We're signing up. We've got over 100 breweries that have given us their recipes.
What? Oh, so you could duplicate a favorite beer?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
that's interesting.
And that's the point, so that you can have a beer from a brewery that's on the other side of the country, and it'll be fresh as though you were sitting at their tasting room.
Now, do I have to go grocery shopping, or are you going to give me the ingredients? How's that going to work?
They come in a Pico pack, is what we call them.
This is a Pico pack here, right?
Yep.
And how much is a typical Pico pack?
Depends on the recipe.
Mm-hmm.
So that one you have there is, I want to say it's about $15, $16.
And how much beer am I going to get?
You get 5 liters of beer, which is about 13 beers.
That's nice. Okay, so it's cheaper than buying the beer.
A little bit more than a buck a beer.
But it's fun to make.
Oh,
Inside,
yeah.
Now, we unsealed this because you would keep this sealed, and you actually just pop these into the PicoBrew.
Correct.
Because it's like it's all a contained thing. But we unsealed it to. So this is the mash, right? That's mostly barley.
Yep, mostly barley.
But other things.
And then
you also get
adjuncts. Yep.
This is the yeast. Now, of course, yeast is critical to any kind of alcohol manufacturer, and this yeast came from. Is this from a brewery? This particular one, the B52?
No, that's a common. Well, breweries use cephal yeast, but that size packet is very common in homebrew.
Okay.
You can also have the choice to use one of the liquid yeasts. From White Labs.
Oh, you can use it. Okay, so that's good. So, and then it also has, this is very important, sugar, because this is why we kick it all off, right? We feed the little yeasties, and then they find the mash, and then we start getting alcohol. There's another packet here. What's this second packet for?
Oh, that's the hops cartridge.
Oh, so you have a mash cartridge and a hops cartridge. And then there's different amounts of hops or different kinds of hops in here.
Right.
And when you order this kit, so if I'm going to order the blonde B52, I'm going to get these 2 boxes and then all these little packets, right?
Correct.
Got it.
Oh, those hops smell so good.
They smell very hoppy.
Oh my goodness. Now this isn't a very particularly hoppy beer, so we only have a few packets of hop in here. But if you were making an IPA, a very hoppy beer, you'd have more hops in here.
Oh, it would be packed.
Oh, packed with hops.
Yep.
Just what Paul Thurrott's wanting all his life. So we actually started the process. Is this a B52 we're making? What are we making?
That's Tweeties, so that's a wheat beer.
Oh, I love wheat beer. I love wheat beer. So what's going on right now?
Right now you're in the mash step, so there's it's a two-step mash on this one. So it's basically extracting the sugars out of the grain.
By washing it or cooking it or?
No, the grain is full of starch, and starch is glucose, chains of glucose molecules, and you've got enzymes active at various temperatures, and it's basically breaking down the starch into sugars.
Jim, I get the feeling you might have a background in chemistry.
Chemistry, physics, mostly.
And you built this from scratch? I mean, does anybody make anything like this? Could you use somebody else's parts?
Not really. We
Wow.
had to get pretty innovative in this. It goes through 6 different areas, fluid flow in there, and so we had to actually invent a special valve to do that in a very
So
small form factor.
Now, I've been to the
that's
Coors
easy to clean.
factory. Those vats are gigantic.
And this is the family vat.
This is the family vat.
Yeah, exactly.
This is so cool. And they move the beer from vat to vat as they do different processes. Then they stop the yeast from growing at some point. They filter it. You're going to do all of that inside of this one box?
No, you're not going to ferment in there.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
Right now, it's all circulating to and from that keg you have on the side.
Oh, so it's using this. This isn't the...
Right.
Okay.
And it's sterilizing the keg because you're going to go up to boiling temperatures too.
Right.
So that's very important so that you don't contaminate your beer. Once it's done, you're just going to seal that keg, set it on the floor where you're going to ferment it, wait for it to cool down overnight, and then pitch your yeast. And for that recipe, probably about 3-4 days, and you'll be done with the fermenting. Then you'll hook it back up to the machine and transfer it into the serving keg.
Oh, wow. And you get all of this when you buy your PicoBrew.
Correct.
And you get the little sticker too, I see.
Oh, yep.
So you have to put a sticker so people know what you're drinking. This is really cool. This was a Kickstarter. How much did you raise on Kickstarter?
I believe it was about 1.3 million.
Wow. And that was enough to fund the development of this?
Yes.
Pretty
Yes.
impressive. How many
start
prototypes did you go through?
Oh, wow.
A lot.
A lot. In the lab, I usually work on a wireframe machine so that I can swap out parts, inspect everything 360 degrees. I still have those for various testing. But it's been pretty much locked up with very little changes for about 6 months, 8 months maybe.
That's nice. Did you have a background in brewing beer?
Only home brewing,
Yeah.
but I did have a background in making rice syrup, rice milk, soy milk, grain hydrolysis.
Interesting. So you have some background.
And so, and the PicoBrew is if you want something that's fairly automatic, I'm going to get something, I'm going to put it in here, I'm going to do a couple things, but not a lot of work. Now, is there still a space? Is the Zymatic still something that you would use if you want to kind of hack it?
Yeah, the Zymatics are going into a lot of breweries as a quality control and R&D device.
See, yeah, make a small batch.
So you want to if I want to play with it, if I really want to play with the idea and play with my mixtures and change my mixtures and do all those things, it sounds like the Zymatic is still the way to go. Whereas if I want to just have some great beer ready when my friends come over, the Pico sounds like a better solution.
Now you don't do this to.
Right.
Go ahead.
So the Pico, you can also change some things.
Okay.
When you started it, it gave you a choice of doing some adjustments. So you can raise or lower the ABV and raise and lower the IBUs on that knob. So you can customize each kit.
Right.
And then you also have a option of doing what we call freestyle, where you can design a kit. You start out, say, a base IPA malt. You could change out some of the flavor grains, and then you can change out and substitute different hops.
Interesting.
Who do you see as your audience? I mean, you're not doing it to save money. You're doing it because you love beer, and is it a hobbyist? Is it somebody who wants really good, fresh beer?
This is for the people that really like beer and want to explore all the styles of beer, that would like to taste a Australian brewery beer and have it fresh, be the same as if they were within that country.
I kind of like that idea. Yeah.
Well, and it's also an online community where people can brew the beers, then rate them. And since everybody will be drinking the same beer and rating the same beer, then you get better tasting notes, better indications of what that beer really is. And then the breweries can then look and maybe tweak their beer recipe and see if people like that more or less.
I really love this idea. And I'm not a major beer drinker. I bet if you're like, I know everybody who really gets into beer ends up trying to make it. Right? And sometimes with mixed results. Do you want to try some? We have. Let's try. So what is this? It says half squeezed IPA. Is this what is this?
That is a very hoppy IPA.
Oh boy.
Do I pull this out?
So, yep, pull it out and then turn it.
There you go. It's coming.
I got it.
Oh, that looks good. Oh, this looks really good. And is this from a brewery? Is this a recipe from a brewery or one of your own?
This is one
I didn't do a very good job
of
of that.
Zymatic.
Oh, okay. And is there? It looks like there's some orange in it. Oh, it smells like there's some orange in it.
No, that's just grains and hops.
Wow. Oh, it smells fabulous.
So the citrus flavor is from the hops.
Oh, it's delicious. It is delicious. Yeah, it has a very citrusy. And this was made in a PicoBrew.
That was made in the PicoBrew.
It's fresh.
That was made about 2 weeks ago.
That's kind of neat. You don't
good.
ever want to. It's really good.
It's really good.
You don't ever want to age this, right? You just want to drink it right out of the.
Actually, there are some beers that you do want to age. We do a Imperial Russian Stout that right now I have aging. It's about 2 months old. One with some cherry wood and one with some oak.
Wow,
it's good. It's very good.
And have you been able to do the Holy Grail, to reach the Holy Grail, where it's just consistent every time? You know what you're gonna get when you use this.
Yes, passed that benchmark a year and a half ago.
That's great.
Where different machines, same recipe kits, but different sources of the grains from different stores, and brewed 3 of them, and on different days, and they were identical.
I like this.
I'm just waiting for when they have Pliny the Elder. Or more importantly, Pliny the younger.
Russell makes Pliny.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, he makes a Pliny clone.
We'd love to sign them up.
Get Russian
we
Russian
would
River
love
Brewery. Well, how do breweries react? I mean, don't they say, well, no, that's our private secret recipe?
Actually, it's all across the board. Some think it's great because if they don't have coverage, we give them worldwide exposure.
Right.
And if it's a great beer, you're going to want to actually visit the brewery at some point.
Pliny the Elder doesn't have coverage of Petaluma, and it's only like 10 minutes away.
It's actually good for the brewery. Yep. Yeah.
Right.
And so they get a royalty off of every kit.
Right. No, that's fantastic. I love the idea of being able to have, I definitely can see how the network, as it got bigger, you'd be able to German beers and French beers and Belgian beers and all kinds of other things that you're just not going to ever get fresh, unless you go there.
So here's the really good news. We've talked about all this. It's under $700. That's amazing. I mean, this is a really nice piece of gear. You must barely be breaking even on this thing. That is wonderful.
It's we do a nice job of design.
Sure do. Look at that. This is the Apple computer of beer makers.
It is.
Really,
It
really nice.
It just works.
It just works. Jim Mitchell is Chief Scientific Officer and co-founder with his brother of PicoBrew. We are brewing. And how long before we get beer out of this thing?
That one, you'll get the hot wort in the keg about 2 hours, 15 minutes. Then just follow the instructions, plug the keg, let it cool overnight where you're going to ferment it, pitch the yeast, and then towards the end of next week, you'll be drinking a good beer.
Just in time for the move.
Started the brew in the old one,
and we'll end
you'll
it in
drink
the new
it
one.
in the new one.
You don't want this back right away, do you, Jim?
Keep it.
No, why not? Why not? Careful. Keep it for a little while. I don't want to keep it forever. Thank you. Hey, Jim, it's really nice to meet you. Cheers. And thank you for the PicoBrew. Where can we find out more? PicoBrew.com?
PicoBrew.com.
Awesome. $6.99. I think there's a lot of beer lovers.
Oh, yeah.
If you've ever tried to make beer, you can waste a lot more money than that and make a terrible brew.
I've done that. I tell you with experience that I would have just done this.
I'd say I'm not even a beer lover. This is delicious.
This is really good beer.
It's good beer.
Yep.